Today was a crazy day for the semiconductor market as we had Nvidia down over 17% on this overall DeepSeek news and how it can kind of impact the overall AI market. Now, I did a video on DeepSeek and Nvidia earlier this morning, and I will probably do one later today or early tomorrow. But on today's episode, I actually want to take a closer look at some other semiconductor stocks that also took a huge hit today, and in my opinion, can actually be great buying opportunities. Now, the reason I believe they are great buying opportunities is because these are companies that are bullish for Nvidia, are bullish because of Nvidia if DeepSeek is false, but they can also be bullish if these DeepSeek issues are actually true. And there's this huge efficiency in AI solutions. So the 5 companies I'm going to take a closer look at are ASML, TSMC, Micron Technology, Broadcom, and Marvell. Too long, don't watch. The 2 that I believe are the most attractive right now are ASML, the equipment space, and TSMC. The other ones have a few caveats that I'll explain a little bit in today's episode, but I just kind of want to give you the main topic in the first intro. Now, if you want to hear my overall thoughts on everything else, make sure to stay tuned. But first, make sure to hit the thumbs up, make sure to hit the subscribe button, check out the pinned comment for a special offer at fool.com/Jose, and check out my free daily semiconductor newsletter, whatthechip.happened.com. So let's get started.
I want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for the subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode.
All right, so like I mentioned, I've done plenty of videos of Nvidia today, yesterday, and in the past. So I will be covering Nvidia a little bit later, but just for those that are curious, no, I'm not selling, but I believe the market is going to be irrational with the stock price for the next few days, even for the next few weeks, until maybe we even get earnings. So stock prices can continue to be irrational in my opinion, and that's okay. Again, that's not the point of today's episode, but I know a lot of people watch me for my Nvidia thoughts, so just wanted to give that out before we look at the other companies. Now, the other companies that I mentioned, we're going to start off with ASML. Actually, I want to start off with TSMC. So these overall thought process right now is, the top overview is, DeepSeek was able to create large language models competitive to other players, and in certain instances maybe even better, with a lot cheaper investments in AI chips. So in theory, what the market is seeing is, because they're able to do it cheaper, either we're going to see a huge decrease, and cheaper because of less computational power needed, you're going to need less AI chips for this process, right? That's the main bearish thesis right now. And the quick 101: easier, more efficient AI requires less chips, which require less AI chips and less revenue for companies like Nvidia and anybody else that can benefit. And here we're with TSMC. So TSMC was down roughly 13% today, and we can see it's at levels last seen, and this is the thing that's also going to be pretty crazy. These are levels that we probably just saw a few months ago. I mean, the first time we kind of saw these levels of 190s was around July of 2024, and then we saw them again in the late half of 2024. But right now, 192. So many people are saying, hey, look, since Nvidia is going to need less chips, then TSMC is going to do bad. But on today's episode, I actually want to take a closer look at the case if DeepSeek is telling the truth, right? Because for all these companies, we already have that the bullish thesis is Nvidia doing well, and Nvidia is going to drive demand for all these other markets, or the AI market is growing and all these other players can benefit as well. But what if DeepSeek is true? If DeepSeek is true, I also still think TSMC can benefit. The reason being is Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing, the volume of their manufacturing is mainly in the consumer space, and the consumer market is expected to continue to grow. Now, imagine in this world where DeepSeek is actually pretty good, and it is true, and we're kind of seeing AI innovation at such cheap prices, that's gonna allow AI solutions to be added to all types of applications, going to be added to phones, to and anything, any type of consumer product. And that's going to drive consumers to go out there and expand their new technology into the AI space. So if DeepSeek is true, I think it's going to make consumer electronic AI or consumer AI a lot cheaper, and it's going to help accelerate the use cases of these solutions, right? Because we hear of AI PC, right? And AI PC is, what can I do with AI PC? Maybe I can kind of shift my background a little bit. Maybe I can do eye correction. But what if the next AI PC, because of the DeepSeek innovation, has a lot more software applications, has a lot more AI use cases that I can't think of right now because they haven't been created yet, but because of the innovation and the efficiency of DeepSeek, they get created at a faster rate. So for me, it's if DeepSeek is true, then we're going to see a boom in AI consumer electronics, which at the end of the day is going to mean a lot more chips in the consumer space. So it's going to be pretty strong for companies like TSMC. So I think the sell-off for TSMC is pretty irrational. Now, ASML is another one that I personally think is pretty irrational, especially since ASML doesn't really benefit too much from the AI space, right? ASML delivers equipment needed for the manufacturing of chips. Now, these chips are used mainly for the companies that buy them, like TSMC, would only buy ASML when they need more production lines and when they see an increase in demand. Usually, the volume that drives that is again the consumer market. So ASML, I don't think is going to lose anything with if we don't see that many AI chips being built in forms of data center, but I believe you're going to see more AI chips being built into the consumer space. So I would say ASML is one of those stocks that can be bullish for both if DeepSeek isn't true and Nvidia continues to dominate and continues to sell a lot of AI chips, or if DeepSeek is telling the truth and Nvidia might see a reduction in AI chip sales, and you get to see kind of an efficiency in AI models. Again, I'm not saying it is true, but these are stocks that I believe can benefit if either scenario happens. Now, the third stock we're going to take a closer look at is Micron Technology, right? And this is where it starts to get iffy. To me, the first two that I would say are no-brainers, and remember, there's never a no-brainer in the stock market, but the closest no-brainer to me would be TSMC, ASML, and here in ASML, I would actually add any semiconductor equipment player in this space, right? Any equipment player that took a hit right now, I think I would add to this list as well. Now, Micron Technology, this one's a bit interesting. So if Micron Technology right now is benefiting a lot from HBM, so if you see a decrease in AI chips, then you're going to see a decrease in theory of HBM volumes, right? So that's a hit for them. But some of the benefit is maybe you might see a decrease in Nvidia chips, but I do believe that big tech players, if these efficiencies are still true, you're going to see these big tech players really continue to develop their ASIC solutions, which will need HBM technology. And again, if we are going into this AI efficiency is going now into the mass consumer space, you're still going to need a lot of compute for inference, and Micron Technology would be a player there. Now, the bearish case, like I mentioned, was the HBM. This is where it gets a little iffy. Now, the next two are ones that obviously are losing right now, because if you need less AI chips, you might also need less custom AI chips. And those two players that benefit here are Broadcom and Marvell. So both are down. Broadcom is down roughly 70%. Marvell was down roughly 19%. Now, like I mentioned earlier with Micron, if efficiency is getting better, maybe this will reduce the dependency of your general AI accelerators like NVIDIA GPUs, and you can kind of see a growth in custom ASIC solutions, as you really only need them maybe for certain workloads. So the five stocks that I believe are sitting at somewhat attractive or completely overreactions right now are TSMC, ASML, Micron Technology, Broadcom, and Marvell. To me, again, the first two are almost no-brainers. Micron is more of like somewhere in the middle. Broadcom and Marvell, I think there's a lot of if and buts, but I believe if the market, even if DeepSeek is true, these two players can still potentially benefit out of there. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's quick episode. I just want to kind of share my overall thoughts on some players that could benefit in both scenarios, and I hope it kind of makes sense. Take care, have a good day, and see you all next time.